Is Napheesa Collier still, despite her absence, is Napheesa Collier still the leader in the MVP race, or do you think now it's a bit more of a conversation than it was maybe even a couple weeks ago?
I think right now she's still the leader, but she's definitely, I think she has to come back soon. I honestly think with both of these awards, Rookie of the Year and MVP, which we're talking about tonight, the next couple of weeks could tell us, could give us new information for both of these awards. I think Fee has to come back and get back to what she was doing, which was like 25-8. She's still leading the league in scoring. So I think she has to, and I think based on the timeline she had, she should be back next week. But I think she has to get back and playing well. I'm also wondering if the team winning without her is going to hurt her case at all. So there's that, because Minnesota still looks really good. They picked up Dejanay Carrington, so they're not, they really haven't missed a beat at all. They're still looking really good. So I don't know if that's going to affect it. And so the question is similar to the kind of coach of the year conversation, I think, with Natalie Nakase. Has Napheesa done enough? Had she done enough to the point where she was hurt to just outright win it? Did she do enough to just outright win it? Sorry, someone was FaceTiming me and it's connected to my computer. So
we've all been there. Oh, good.
So that's why I'm like, if she could come back from the ankle injury and put together the last stretch of a really strong last stretch of the season, then that makes it indisputable. But if Alyssa Thomas keeps doing what she's doing essentially, but if she goes on a dominant run, you mentioned Asia, Alicia Gray's name has been in the conversation. I think Alicia Gray might get a couple of first place votes. I think Sabrina might deserve a first place vote here or there. I don't think she'll get any either, but I think their names are like after the main. I think the main conversation is Napheesa. And if it's not Fee, I think it comes down to, is Alyssa Thomas putting together a dominant stretch over the next couple weeks, or is Vegas about to make a run while Asia is, still in dominant form, right? So I think it's between Napheesa, AT, and Asia. I think if it's not Fee, then those two are going to be the top candidates.
Yeah, I will say I was prepared to come on here and like toot the horn for Asia, just off the strength of the 30-20, off the strength of the fact the team is winning. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that even though I think Asia I think she'll finish third place in MVP voting. What I've come to realize is this last stretch of wins for him, and again, like I mentioned, the Aces are 7-1 since Jewel Lloyd's moved over to the bench. And even though Asia's consistently played the same, really the reason why the Aces are winning now is because Jewel Lloyd is playing better.
Yeah.
Right. And so I do feel like, ironically, even though what you and I had talked about before with Asia offline is the Aces do need to start stringing some wins together if Asia's MVP case can be a little bit more solid, a little more ironclad, like Fee and like Alyssa Thomas. But despite the fact that she's continued to play that way, the wins, you're not looking at these wins and saying that the Aces are winning because of Asia. The argument would be made that they're winning because of Jewel. And so I think that's probably where you put a bit of a damper on Asia Wilson's MVP case. I agree with you, right? We talked the other day and I did make I tried to make a case for Alicia Gray. I did mention in that conversation to you that one thing that I think could tip the scales in both Alicia Gray's favor for MVP and also Carlos Mexico's favor for Coach of the Year was whether or not they were able to jump over the Liberty and finish second. They did do that over the past couple of days. And so, but again, I think it's too far gone. But I do agree with you. I think if it's not Napheesa Collier, I think it is going to be Alyssa Thomas. And it's hard to deny that, right? Like 3 straight triple doubles.
So much.
And she does so much. She does so much.
3 straight triple doubles, bro.
Yeah.
3 straight triple doubles. And again, she does so much for that team. Yeah. We were talking about her versus Alicia Gray, and I'm like, I get it. Alicia Gray has been one of the top 3 guards in the league this year. Her best season. She gets credit for all that. But if we're talking MVP, there are only a few players that have been better / more dominant than Alicia Gray this season. And Alyssa Thomas is one of them. defensively and offensively,
Mm-hmm.
Alyssa Thomas is just doing so much. It could be her time if Phoenix goes on a run here, and if she puts up a few more gaudy stat lines, like she's leading the league in assists. If she puts together a stretch here, she's gonna put like legitimate pressure on Fee.
I would agree. And I mean, look, the Mercury right now, I think, are 2 or 3 games behind the Liberty. Like, there's still a chance for them. Again, I would say the same thing about her that I'd said about or about Alicia Gray. If they can jump over the Fever, right, and they can really stake their claims as clearly having been, because they've been hovering around that 3-4 spot all season, right? And so, especially with the way this season has kind of turned for them, they picked up DB. Satu Sabali was benched in the entire second half the other day, and she hasn't really been playing as well as she was playing at the top of the season. If Alyssa Thomas continues this and they continue to win games and they finish with, I think they have 19 wins right now, if they can get close to, if not crack 25, I think that makes her case stronger. My thing with Fee is, and it's kind of the opposite of what I kind of joked about a couple weeks ago with the Jonquel Jones thing, right? Which is like how I had said Jonquel Jones making a pretty strong MVP case because she stops, she gets hurt and Liberty kind of fell apart. I almost feel like, in a way, and I get it, the Lynx are the best team in the league, rightfully so, but I almost feel like, in a way, with Napheesa being out and them not having missed a beat, like, I wonder how much, if at all, that goes into the decision making of those for the voters of, when you think about the MVP, you're thinking about there should be like a bit of a drop off when this player is no longer present. And like, they've dropped a couple games here and there, but they've still been dominant. They've still been they've still been the best team in the league. You mentioned they picked up Dejanay Carrington. That's obviously helped a lot as well. But I just wonder if Fee's absence, or if the Lynx winning despite Fee's absence, could hinder, her MVP case. And with them winning, is there even going to be a sense of urgency by Cheryl Reeve or the coaching staff to get her back into these games over these next couple of weeks? Like,
Well, and
what I mean?
and I read, well, no, it's not something she said. I was reading someone who was talking about Fee's injury, and they were just saying that they believe that Fee would not prioritize an MVP run over a championship run. So her desire to come back early, it's fair to assume that she would rather not come back early, obviously not to be MVP chasing, but even if it meant for seeding or positioning or just to get back on the floor,
Yeah.
She may wait until playoffs. I feel like Indiana's icing Caitlin until the playoffs at this point. Like,
Yeah.
And with all the injuries happening and the scheduling and stuff like that, could very well be the case. So again, if she's not coming back, like if she doesn't come back at all, obviously that opens the floodgates, I think.
Yeah.
For Alyssa Thomas or Asia Wilson, maybe even an Alicia Gray or a Sabrina Ionescu. That's if Fee just doesn't come back at all. If it stopped right now, she's the MVP. But so we have.
I agree with you there. Yes, if
the
it stopped right now,
today,
even though
the
they've been
MVP.
great, she's still the MVP. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
What to your point though, what she does have on her side is because she's had this all season, is that she's the best player on the best team. So I'm with you on the wondering if Minnesota being this good without her might hurt her chances at MVP, but she did so much damage up to the point she got injured, and they were the best team all season, and she's been the best player all season, that I feel like she might have put together already an MVP case. It all comes down to these last like 10 to 15 games left, and what Alyssa Thomas does, what the Phoenix Mercury do, what Asia Wilson does, what the Las Vegas Aces do. And when we'll see if someone else decides to start lighting things up and make things even more dicey.
I mean, look, I'm just looking at the standings right now. Like, the Lynx, obviously the only team that is locked up a playoff spot already, and their likely matchup, they're going to play. It's kind of weird at the bottom of the table. It'll either be LA, Seattle, Golden State, or Indiana. I would just say one of those 4 teams will be their 8th seed matchup. That's a matchup you look at and you say, if he doesn't play doesn't bounce a basketball again in a regulation basketball game until then, you're not like too upset, right? Which is why I just wonder, because I agree with you. I agree with, you mentioned how that person believes that they're going to shut it down. I think so. I agree with on the Caitlin thing, right? I'm honestly like a little bit surprised that Stewie's kind of ramping up as well, because like, again, like they're gonna make the playoffs, and I don't think they need Stewie to like be here, but
not with Emma Miesemann playing.
Yeah, not with Emma Miesemann doing what she's doing. Like,
apparently they don't even need Stewie. Like,
yeah. So
God's name is going on. They're calling her the female Jokic, bro.
I did see that.
And
I
she's
did
the
see that.
female
I did
Jokic.
see that. Yeah,
Good
but yeah,
Lord.
she put Alyssa Smith in the blender the other day. That was not a pretty sight. She had her looking silly.
Yo, what I've seen
Yeah,
her doing these last few games. Oh my goodness.
yeah.
Yeah, but go ahead. Sorry.
But no. I mean, but the thing I think about that this reminds me of like the whole Napheesa thing is this is almost kind of similar to me of like what happened with Saquon at the end of the NFL season, right? He was closing in on the single season rushing record, and the Eagles had already locked up the number 1 seed. There was nothing that him playing at that point, him playing in that final week of the season against the Giants would have done more harm than good to ultimately them winning a championship, right? And I think the Napheesa Collier situation in Minnesota is the exact same. They have the number 1 seed, they have a playoff spot. You know, Napheesa Collier playing at this point in the season to come back, it's literally just going to be to secure herself an MVP. And when I think about
Yeah.
how they walked off the court at the end of that finals
Mhm.
last season, she's
Mhm.
got bigger fish to fry, and
Yeah.
she wants to win a championship. I mean, I saw something the other day that 4 of the 5 games in the WNBA finals last season were decided by 5 points or less.
Those games
Like
were nuts.
that's how much of a stinger that loss was, not just for
Yeah.
Fee, but the entire Minnesota Lynx organization. And so
Yeah.
I'm inclined to believe that we're probably going to see a Saquon Barkley type situation here with Minnesota and Napheesa, where as long as they're continuing to click and win, right? She's not gonna play. And again, what reason
Right.
does Minnesota need her to play at
Yeah.
this point?
She
They've been
wouldn't need to
far and
play.
away the
Yeah.
best player, the best team in the league this season. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how they play this out, not just from an MVP standpoint, but also just from a like bigger picture playoff kind of thing as well. Because what they
Yeah.
don't want to happen is her come back and then re-aggravate that injury or suffer a
Yeah.
different injury,
Right.
right?
There's no
So
need to rush her back for
of
any
course,
other reason than if they wanted her to solidify the MVP thing, which again, she may have wrapped it up already.
yeah,
So she's done enough. It's like just kind of let her be at this point. So that's what makes it exciting and interesting because again, we have a couple of other candidates that could shake things up. It's not just locked again, the season would have to end today for it to be guaranteed it's going to be Napheesa Collier. We all agree on that. But
yeah,
there's still a little time left in the season, and Alyssa Thomas and Asia Wilson are there. Like there
mhm,
are other candidates, so we'll see what happens. Her injury has made it um that much more just obviously unfortunate in her case, but just fascinating in terms of how this is going to play out. The last thing too is the fact that she was the runner up last year.
yeah,
You have that. Like it's almost again, even with Minnesota being the runner-up champion. Like not to
mhm,
say that the league wants her to have it or wants them to win it, but
yeah,
it's just that she came back even better, just as good, even better. Her team is just as good, even better, the best team. So again, I think most people agree that she's earned it up to this point.